Hello and welcome to a special presentation from In the Money Media. This is our show for Tuesday, May 13th. Assiniboia Downs opening day. This is a meet we paid a lot of attention to last year. We're able to cash some tickets. We're going to talk more about why maybe it should be more on your radar, dear viewer or listener, as the show goes on. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatal, back with you in the Brooklyn Bunker once again, joined by a man you can see him there in his Assiniboia drip. He is the point person on this operation. I know he's been following this circuit very closely the last couple of years. Mikee P, Mike Probosi, what's going on, my man?
Oh, glad to be here and glad to be having another year of Assiniboia coverage on the network. Going to have consistent coverage, weekly coverage on the network for Assiniboia. Look at some pick fours, certainly plenty of player-friendly, higher minimum wagers to play into. Solid pool, solid handle at Assiniboia, consistent horses that show up within week in, week out. So very much an attractive circuit.
Let's get into some of those specifics. Let's start off very high level. When do they run, and what are some of the meet high points in terms of days to circle on the calendar potentially?
So when they start off, they're going to start Tuesday and Wednesday nights now. And when June starts, they're going to add Monday. So it's going to be 3 days a week then as soon as June hits. The big day there, August 4th, for that Manitoba Derby. That attracts the 3-year-olds there that show up for a big pot. So Manitoba Derby Day, a big day for Assiniboia, always big handle day there. Plenty of player-friendly wagers. They've reduced takeout again at Assiniboia. So one place that's not going up on takeout, they're coming down. They have, if you look, 14.65% win takeout. That's one of the lowest you're going to find anywhere. So you're getting decent play for your money there in the win pool. If you look, the place takeout 17.9, that's down 2% this year. If you're looking at doubles, exactas, pick threes, they have 19% there. The player-friendly pick four, dollar minimum is 15.9% takeout. So right. Plenty of attractive wagers at Assiniboia, and certainly a place that I really like to get involved in.
Couple of things I want to pause on about why you might want to consider playing Assiniboia beyond these takeouts, which are great. And they do help, I think, reduce what some of the computer players are able to do in these pools by leveling the playing field just in terms of how much money they can get kicked back. Not that they're not participating, but it does maybe tilt the table a little bit more in your favor anytime you're looking at these more what we call the player-friendly bets. But the other thing is, I think it'd be an interesting circuit, Mikey, and you've done this more than me. I dip in and out. I mean, I play, but I'm not as consistent as you are. But it seems like a place you might be able to get an edge by becoming a real circuit regular. Is that what you consider yourself at this point? And do you see certain angles and institutional knowledge that you gain looking at these race cards week in and week out?
Absolutely, because I mean it's Western Canada, so the stock pretty much stays put. You get some shippers, you get some fawner shippers, you get some Turf Paradise shippers, you get the occasional Woodbine shipper, but for the most part, these horses stay put at Assiniboia. They run frequently against each other in similar classes. So you can see form cycles develop for these horses year in, year out. You can see horses that like certain jockeys and maybe could lead into a race. So similar to, and I did this last year, I mentioned that you follow a harness circuit, you get the same horses all the time. Well, this is a thoroughbred circuit that has a consistent horse population that you can follow. And then you can, I think you can find angles, find different places to pick your spots. And certainly that's going to lead to cashing more tickets.
And another way that it reminds me of harness racing, in a sense, is time of day in a good way. As an East Coast player, to have racing on, I mean, the Tuesday card starts 8:30 Eastern and rolls through, gosh, what is it, about 10:40, 10:48, something like that for the last race. That gives me something else to be betting on while I'm watching baseball and hanging out and doing my East Coast evening things. And for a flat player such as myself, that's wonderful to have another option as far as that goes. So those are just some of the reasons you should be looking at Assiniboia Downs during their season this year. Now the rubber meets the road, my friend. We're going to dive in to some of these races and see if we can find some winners. We're going to look at this pick four that kicks off in race number 4 on Tuesday night, 9:39 Eastern, the scheduled post time for this one. It's an allowance race for fillies and mares going 5 furlongs on the dirt. How do we want to light this candle?
Well, for Assiniboia here, these first couple weeks, you're going to get a lot of sprints, a lot of 5 furlong races. That first card, you look, there's 7 races all at 5 furlongs. So you have to be mindful of that they'll extend the distances as the meet goes on. So looking at these 5 furlong races, you're going to get, horses that, maybe not all of them want to go that 5 furlong distance. So that's something to, I do think you need to consider. There's a few shippers in this first race here. And the 4 Distinctive Deb, now that's a horse that's never raced at this racetrack, ships in from Turf Paradise, racing in 5 furlong, 4.5 furlong type races. This horse was claimed 2 back for $62,050 and protected right away. That next race was bet in a starter allowance type race. Now, this horse didn't race very well in there, but has some recency, certainly has speed. I do think the trainer here, Mike Taphorn, he tends to get these kind of horses and is able to ship in, show up, and get some money early in the meet. So I think that Distinctive Deb has a big chance in that first race. The 5, Sum It Up, 7-2 morning line here. Another shipper ships in from Fawner. Now, 2 straight wins at Fawner, going 6 furlongs. That's a 2-turn race at Fawner, however. So back to the 1 turn here. And this horse has shown speed at those 2-turn races. I think could take a lot of money in here. Certainly a contender, I think, especially another one with recency. And then the 6, Secret Glenda, 3-1 morning line. Another shipper ships in from Kentucky, has some dirt lines that fit. So I do think, Pete, that the shippers will dominate leg 1 here.
You talked about the 5 furlong distance early in the meet and the distance stretching out. That's because, right, the local horse population are off of layoffs. My inclination is going to be to look towards these shippers in these early cards for that reason. And the top 2 you mentioned were the 2 that I wanted to talk about. Sum It Up. Now, I don't have full pace information about this horse from those recent races. And you make a great point about 2 turns going to 1, and we'll see how the speed plays. But looking at the pace figures I do have, I was thinking there was a chance Sum It Up could get loose in this spot and just has races that make sense, especially if there's any kind of pace advantage. And this is also an interesting barn change on the percentages. Nothing against previous connections, but Sum It Up was one that I definitely wanted. And then I felt like you laid out the case pretty well for Distinctive Deb. This one also on making an important barn change on the percentages, and a horse whose fastest races I think could have her at least a little bit in the mix. I was going to try to get out of it with the 5 and the 4. Sounds like you're going to use 3 numbers, 4, 5, and 6 to kick things off.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6 there. Those Kentucky shippers, I do think they might have a little bit of a class edge over some of the other horses in the race. So I do think that horse has Churchill lines, has some Turfway lines. They've done well all over the place. So I'll use that one also to start the pick 4.
Let's go to the second leg of the pick 4. We've got nickel claimers going the same 5 furlongs on the dirt and a field of 7 going postward in here. A couple of numbers I wanted on my ticket that I will highlight, starting with number 5, Bennigan, who does have something that most in this field do not have, and that's the hint of recency. Now, this horse was a little lower on the morning line than I was guessing, and I don't necessarily love at the morning line price, but I was assuming the price would be good because the form lines look so ugly. But just the fact that they were against better and recent made me think, hey, the Bennigan could be a force to contend with in here. Another race where I don't exactly know where the speed is coming from, and I do think he'll be up in the mix. So I was interested in Bennigan. And then the other one was Thirsty Baby. Now, this is one, the Forerunner. This is one where you have to answer the layoff question. But boy, I really like that last run quite a bit. Has to contend with the off time, but if that was a new level of ability, especially, which it may have been, this horse looks strong based on that run. That race wins this, I'm pretty confident. And maybe that quick looking workout 2 back signals a little bit of readiness for Thirsty Baby. 5 and 4 for me in race number 5. Are you like my numbers, or are you going to pull some other things in here?
Wow. I mean, this must be a really wide open race because I have different numbers altogether. There's a horse that's 15-1 morning line, the 2 No Magic, that raced here last year, was able to win first time out, going 5.5. Now, that was state bred, the Manitoba bred types, but I do think that this horse has shown the ability to, win early. Was in tough last year, faced a horse called No Show, No Call in 3 of those races, who just absolutely dominated a lot of those state bred races here last year. So I do think that this horse going short, the ability off the bench, this is the lowest race this horse has seen in a while. And I know it has to come off the layoff, but it's proven that way. That 15-1 morning line is very attractive to me. So No Magic would be one I would like to use. The 3, No, I Won't Back Down as another one that interests me. Just if you look back at the 5 furlong lines from last year, was able to win back from on July the 1st on a muddy track over this racetrack to break the maiden. Then kind of, tinkered around at this level, got checks. I had to race in some longer distance type races. I know 1 for 15, but I do think this horse has enough speed to be close. Maybe that shorter distance might suit, has shown the ability, I think, to win early here at this meet. So I do think that those two play well at bigger prices. And I just don't trust some of the other ones. Maybe a B type. Another one you didn't mention, the 7 Plunge Into the Night. 5-2 morning line galloped in this race, in a race here last year on May the 21st. That was an early meet type race, but just hasn't been seen since. Has been in 3 different barns. Probably is going to take a lot of money. Maybe just a B type for me. So I'm going to try to catch a price 2 and 3, maybe a little 7 on the B line. I think your 4 though is a horse I might have to add. I do like the consistency, that workout. Pretty tough race there in race 5 on Tuesday.
It's not easy. I decided to be against the 7, just guessing he was going to get bet pretty hard. And when you see 2 running lines and 2 300-day layoffs, it made it tough to made that one tough to swallow for me at a short price. I almost put in No Magic. I eventually I decided I didn't want to go 3 deep. And I picked Thirsty Baby over No Magic, but I wouldn't mind the idea of squeezing that one onto the tickets. I'm guessing that 15-1 on the morning line is maybe a little bit high of an estimate, but we shall see. The morning line maker knows a lot more than I do about how people bet out there. If that horse is anywhere near double digits, I'd go so far as to say a must include. And you will have the opportunity with rolling doubles in race 4 into 5 to getting some hint of how that horse is bet before you go ahead and take the plunge, even in a bet like the pick 4. Let's go to race number 6, $7,500 claimers. This time going the flat 5 on the dirt. Another field of 7. Mikey P, we'll keep it with you.
A couple more prices for me here. The 1 Starship Chewbacca shows up 8-1 morning line. This horse raced pretty well here last year. I know didn't get a win, but had 6 seconds. It was in tough. Faced horses like Slew's Back, Curly Isa. I mean, those are really tough upper level horses here. And this is a better spot for this horse. If you look last year, dropped to 7,500 there on September 23rd, late in the meet. Just missed in that spot and was claimed out of that race. Now they're back in a similar spot. I think the short distance suits. This horse is very game, likes to battle for it. And if you can see, looking back in the lines, gets beat usually less than half a length, a neck. So I know finishing second a lot, but fighting for it. I like the inside post. I think that this horse could be ready off the bench, and you're getting an 8-1 morning line price. Should play well in multis. The 2, It's a Fluke's another one I'm interested in. Just has some back class, a lot of Woodbine lines. This horse was popular at the claim box. Now, the dirt is a question mark for this one, but has some speed. I think should be in the mix, and you got top connections here. So I was 1-2 here in leg number 3.
I'm the same numbers in the other order. I thought It's a Fluke that you could make a case on this blood. I mean, yes, it's a question, but I thought you could make a case on this blood could improve for the dirt, given, having Malibu Moon in there, Carpe Diem, obviously was a dirt runner himself, and just taking a quick look at the damn side of the pedigree is very much of an unknown because there just isn't much in the way of siblings. The lone sibling, not the lone sibling, all 3 siblings, none of them ran on dirt ever, but they're all Woodbine based. So it's not like there's all these opportunities that they're not taking advantage of. I'm willing to throw the dice with that one based on that back class that you describe. And Starship Chewbacca, a horse I bet multiple times last year, and not a win machine by any means, but an honest, hard-trying horse who was unlucky not to do better last year, I felt like, on balance, and one that I thought could absolutely be in the mix. Very logical, exact a partner, and I don't mind the idea at all about having a little Starship Chewbacca on top. And I swear, it's not just a Star Wars hunch play, though. You have a Chewbacca over there, but he's slightly out of frame. We'll move him closer the next time this one runs, because as you point out, that's another great thing about these divisions and these horses. You get to see him more than once throughout, sometimes in a month, which is a beautiful thing. Let's get to the nightcap, my friend. An allowance race on the 5 furlong dirt variety. Once again, 7 horses. When it comes to this late pick 4 on Assiniboia Downs opening day, how are we going to get paid?
I think my ticket's going to live and die with the 3 here. Salsa D, 9-5 morning line, 3rd start back. And if you look, this horse is was claimed for 35 at Turf Paradise back in March, jumped to a 50, was 2-1 versus those horses. now shows up in a race that this horse should have a class edge over most of these. So third back, recency, class edge, plenty of speed. If you look back at the lines, I think that this horse is probably going to assert itself and be better than these. Now, this is a tough race, and there's horses that race very well over this racetrack. So that is a question mark. It's no easy spot, but there are just too many things for me here. And this horse has 7 lifetime wins. It's made almost 300,000. So I'm going to single the 3 to try to get out in this first pick 4 of the season at Assiniboia.
We see it exactly the same. Saucity for me is a standout, has figures, has form, should get a good trip. I was hoping you'd have one of these local runners who maybe a horse for course type to throw in on one backup line, because we're not super deep in other parts, but nobody stands out among the others. You feel like this is just better to let this be a true single?
One horse that I did consider as a B type, and this horse usually does race well more when the distances get longer, but the 5 Magic Tiger, 6-1 morning line, this is a stone closer. And this race, if you get, there's plenty of speed, I do think, to keep the favorite company. And this horse can pop at a number. And if you look back, it has, some 5 furlong lines where it's closing up late. So if it falls apart, Magic Tiger could come get them at 6-1 morning line. That would blow up this pick 4. So I do think that one, if you're looking for a deeper backup, that would be my backup here at a price in the last.
I don't mind that idea at all, because I think if Saucity loses, it's probably because the pace ended up being a little bit too hot. So in that instance, to try to take a late runner like the 5 Magic Tiger, another one I have seen numerous times, and it's just an honest, hard-trying sort too. Yeah, probably too sharp, but hey, sometimes if they go too fast, it'll bring the stamina into play, and a 5 furlong race can play more like a 7 furlong race if everybody's gassed when they're turning in there. All right, great stuff, Mikey. Any other things you want to highlight about this upcoming ASD year? We're going to be having coverage on the regular. You mentioned that already. What else do the people need to know?
Yeah, just really excited for the coverage this year. We're going to look mostly at Tuesdays for the meet. I know that a lot of the bigger races show up on Tuesdays, but we're going to try to find the best sequences also. So if there's a Wednesday that has a pick 4 with loaded fields, then we might pivot to those things. So keep an eye on the feed. Keep it here, because we're giving out lots of winners. Gave out plenty of prices last year. So Assiniboia is certainly the place to be, in a very limited schedule on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for the thoroughbred players. So if you're a flat player, jump into Assiniboia. I think you won't be disappointed.
I love it. Check out their website too, asdowns.com. There's other information for players there. You can get free programs, lots of cool information, asdowns.com. And if you've been listening or watching to this point and you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, you are the people, you are our hardcores, and we don't have you yet on the YouTube channel. We need you, because we're just about to hit our subscriber goal. We're going to do it by Preakness to get to 12,500. You could be the one who does it for us. Go there, please click that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. We appreciate our friends at Assiniboia Downs too. And we're going to be back with much more coverage throughout the meet. Mikey, call on me whenever. I love doing these shows. It's really fun to have some early week, late night action. It just fits the horse player calendar absolutely perfectly. For Mikee P, I'm Peter Thomas Fornatal. May you win all your photos.